Have you ever wondered why some people have irresistible magnetism without even trying, while others go completely unnoticed? Today, you're going to discover the most powerful seduction secret that Neil Strauss revealed in his deepest research: mastering personal space. In the next few minutes, you'll learn exactly how to use your physical presence to create magnetic attraction that makes people seek you out without you having to chase anyone. Most people don't understand that seduction begins long before you open your mouth. Neil Strauss, after years studying the world's best seducers, discovered that 90% of attraction is generated through body language and personal space management. But there's something you need to understand right now. It's not about invading others' space, but about creating such a powerful magnetic field with your own presence that people feel naturally drawn to you. Here's the first secret that will completely change how you relate to others. Personal space isn't just that invisible bubble surrounding you. It's your most powerful seduction tool. Neil Strauss explained that the most attractive people have learned to expand and contract their presence according to the situation, like orchestra conductors controlling the rhythm of every encounter. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever been around someone who, without doing anything special, managed to make the entire room revolve around them? That person had mastered what Strauss called expanded presence. They didn't occupy more physical space than others, but their energy was felt beyond their body. They moved with purpose, maintained sustained eye contact, and every gesture seemed calculated to create impact. The mistake most people make is thinking that having presence means being loud or flashy. The truth is exactly the opposite. Truly seductive people have learned to use silence and stillness as weapons of massive attraction. When you master your personal space, you generate what psychologists call magnetic tension, that feeling that something powerful is about to happen. Here's your first practical exercise. For the next 3 days, every time you're in a conversation, keep your feet firmly planted on the ground and resist the temptation to move toward the other person. Instead of leaning forward when you speak, maintain your upright posture and let the other person be the one to come closer to you. You'll observe something fascinating. When you occupy your space with confidence, you automatically generate more interest. But here's the crucial detail that Neil Strauss constantly emphasized. It's not enough to just occupy your space. You have to do it with intention. Every movement must have purpose. When you walk, do it like you know exactly where you're going and why. When you sit, take all the space you need without apologizing. This is the difference between someone who simply exists in a place and someone who truly owns it. Repeat this phrase every morning before leaving home. My presence is a gift, and I decide who I give it to. This will program your subconscious mind to behave like someone who knows their value, and that energy will transmit through your body language without you having to force anything. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point, because there's something even more powerful than simply occupying your space: knowing when to strategically invade others' space to create instant electric connection. Strauss discovered something revolutionary during his years of research. The most seductive people don't just control their own space, but they know exactly when and how to cross others' invisible barriers to create moments of instant intimacy. But here's the key. They do it in such a subtle and natural way that the other person not only doesn't feel invaded, but desires more. The secret lies in what Strauss called calibrated invasion. It's not about approaching in an obvious or aggressive manner, but about creating small intrusions that generate a sense of complicity and special connection. It's like you're sending a subliminal message that says, between us there's something different, something you don't have with other people. Imagine this situation. You're talking to someone you're interested in at a social gathering. Instead of maintaining conventional distance throughout the conversation, at a specific moment you move slightly closer to make a comment in their ear. You don't say anything extraordinary, maybe just, "Have you noticed how everyone here is trying to impress each other?" What's important isn't the words, but the fact that you've created an intimate moment in the middle of a public space. But be careful, because this is where most people fail miserably. They invade personal space incorrectly and generate discomfort instead of attraction. Strauss taught that space invasion must feel like a privilege, not a violation. The difference lies in emotional calibration. You must read the other person's signals and move only when you sense receptivity. Here are the 3 golden rules for calibrated invasion that Neil Strauss perfected after thousands of interactions. First rule: never invade frontal space directly until you've established eye contact and the person has shown signs of interest. Second rule: use lateral space to create intimacy. Approach from the side when you want to make a special comment or share something personal. Third rule: after each invasion, return to your original space to create a pattern of approach and distance that generates anticipation. Have you noticed how the most attractive people seem to have perfect timing for everything? It's not coincidence. They've developed what Strauss called spatial intelligence, the ability to read the environment and adjust their presence accordingly. Practice it this way. Next time you're in an important conversation, observe the other person's body language before making any move. If they lean toward you, it's an invitation. If they keep their arms crossed or lean back, you need to generate more attraction before approaching. Practice this mantra. I read before I move, I feel before I act. This will help you develop that sensitivity that distinguishes natural seducers from those who simply try to apply techniques without real understanding. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point, because mastering your own space and strategically invading others is just the beginning. There's a higher level that few reach, becoming a human magnet that attracts without chasing. Neil Strauss revealed in his most advanced studies that truly irresistible people have developed what he called spatial magnetism. It's not just about how you move or where you position yourself, but about how you generate such a powerful energy field that people feel compelled to enter your orbit without you having to do anything to attract them. This is the level that separates amateurs from masters. While most people need to approach others to generate connection, those who have mastered spatial magnetism make others come to them. It's as if they have a power of emotional gravity that's absolutely irresistible. The key lies in creating what Strauss called positive spatial tension. This means your mere presence in a place generates a feeling that something interesting is about to happen. People feel curious about you without knowing exactly why. They want to be near you, to be part of whatever is happening in your world. But here's the secret that changes everything. This magnetism isn't achieved by trying to be the center of attention, but exactly the opposite. It's generated by creating such a rich and fascinating space around you that others naturally want to be included. It's like being the host of an invisible party that everyone wants to be invited to. Watch this in action. When a truly magnetic person enters a room, they don't actively seek anyone's attention. They position themselves strategically, maybe near a window or in a place where they can observe the entire scene. Their body language says, "I'm completely comfortable with myself and in my own world." But there's something about that tranquility that's magnetic. Strauss explained that this effect occurs because most people are constantly seeking external validation, so when they encounter someone who seems completely self-sufficient, they experience an almost primitive fascination. It's like finding someone who possesses a secret they don't know. Here's your training to develop spatial magnetism. For 1 complete week, practice being the most interesting person in the room without trying to impress anyone. When you arrive at any social place, find a position from where you can observe everything that's happening. Maintain a slightly curious expression, as if you're analyzing something fascinating that others can't see. Don't seek conversations. Simply allow your calm, observant presence to do the work. Most people can't resist the temptation to approach someone who seems to have it all figured out. Your job is to create that impression through your space management. You occupy your place with total right. You move with clear purpose, and you radiate energy that says, "My life is fascinating, and if you're lucky, maybe I'll let you take a peek." But the real power comes when you combine this with strategic micro-interactions. When someone approaches you attracted by your magnetism, you don't give them all your attention immediately. You maintain that elusive quality that made them approach in the first place. It's as if you're a living puzzle that's irresistible to solve. Memorize this powerful affirmation: "I am a fascinating mystery worth discovering." Repeat it internally every time you enter a social space. This will program your subconscious to behave congruently with that identity, and your body language will automatically adjust to reflect that reality. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point, because creating magnetism is powerful, but there's something even more sophisticated that true seduction masters use: the art of controlling the emotional flow of any interaction through expert space and timing management. This is where Neil Strauss definitively separated beginners from experts. True seduction masters don't just attract, they orchestrate complete emotional experiences using space like a musical instrument. They know exactly when to get closer to intensify connection and when to pull away to create longing and anticipation. Strauss observed that the most memorable interactions follow a specific pattern he called the spatial dance of seduction. It's a carefully calibrated flow of proximity and distance that keeps the other person in a constant state of fascination and growing interest. Like an orchestra conductor, controlling every note to create a perfect emotional symphony. The most common mistake people make when learning about seduction is thinking that more closeness is always better. But true masters understand that strategic distance is as powerful as proximity. It's in those moments of separation when the other person processes the experience they just lived and begins to desire more. Imagine mastering this art. You're conversing with someone you're interested in, and you've established initial connection. Instead of maintaining the same dynamic throughout the interaction, you begin to create what Strauss called emotional peaks and valleys. You get closer during the most intense moments of conversation, creating physical intimacy that amplifies emotional intimacy. Then, when tension is at its peak, you pull away slightly, letting the other person feel your absence and desire your return. But here's the secret few understand. This pulling away shouldn't feel like rejection, but like a promise of something better to come. It's like saying without words, "What we're sharing is so special that I need a moment to process it." Creating that feeling requires emotional mastery that only develops with conscious practice. Strauss taught that timing is absolutely crucial in this dance. Pulling away too early can be interpreted as disinterest. Pulling away too late can make you lose the moment of maximum impact. The perfect moment is right when the other person is most connected to you, when their eyes shine with genuine interest and their body language is completely open toward you. Here's the most powerful exercise to master this skill. During your next 5 important interactions, practice the 3 approaches, 1 withdrawal pattern. Get physically closer during 3 key moments of conversation: when you ask a personal question, when you share something vulnerable, and when you both laugh at something together. After the 3rd approach, when connection is at its highest point, find a natural reason to temporarily pull away. It could be going for a drink, greeting someone you just saw, or simply moving to get a better view of something. What's fascinating is what happens during that separation. The other person will unconsciously start looking for ways to reconnect with you. They might follow you with their gaze, find excuses to approach where you are, or simply show evident joy when you return to their side. That's proof you've created emotional addiction to your presence. But there's an even more sophisticated level that Strauss developed after years of perfecting this art. You don't just control the flow of proximity and distance, you do it in a way that creates an emotional narrative. Each approach and each withdrawal tells a wordless story about the special connection developing between you. Program your mind with this statement: I am the director of this emotional experience, and every movement has a purpose. When you internalize this mindset, your space management becomes naturally more sophisticated and effective. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point, because mastering spatial flow is powerful, but there exists a master level that very few reach, creating such an irresistible presence that people change their own behavior patterns just to have more access to you. This is the level Neil Strauss reserved for his most advanced students. When you've mastered all the previous aspects of personal space, you can begin working on what he called pattern alteration. This means your presence becomes so magnetic and unique that people unconsciously modify their habitual behavior when they're around you. Strauss discovered that truly seductive people don't just attract, they inspire others to become more interesting versions of themselves. It's as if your energy gives them permission to break their own social limitations and explore aspects of their personality they normally keep hidden. This creates a powerful association. Being with you feels like a transformative experience. When you reach this level, extraordinary things happen. People who are normally shy become more expressive in your presence. Those who are usually serious discover their playful side. Reserved individuals begin sharing personal stories they rarely tell. You become the catalyst that releases hidden potential in others. But here's the most powerful aspect of this phenomenon. When people experience this improved version of themselves with you, they develop a deep psychological need for your presence. They subconsciously associate their best moments and most authentic self with being by your side. This creates what Strauss called positive emotional dependency. The secret to achieving this lies in creating what we could call a permission space. Your energy and space management clearly communicate, here, you can be who you really are without judgment. It's not something you say directly, but something you transmit through your relaxed presence, genuine acceptance, and your own unapologetic authenticity. Watch how this works in practice. When you're conversing with someone, instead of trying to impress or demonstrate your value, your focus is completely on creating an environment where the other person feels safe to be vulnerable and authentic. Your body language is open and inviting. Your eye contact is sustained but not intimidating. Your posture says, "I have all the time in the world to really get to know you." But there's a specific technique Strauss developed to accelerate this process. He called it elevated mirroring. Instead of simply mimicking the other person's body language, you reflect their energy but in a slightly more expansive and confident version. If they speak softly, you speak softly but with more depth. If they're a bit nervous, you're relaxed but alert. This subconsciously invites them to elevate themselves to meet you at your energy level. Here's your challenge to master this master level. For the next 2 weeks, in every significant interaction you have, make your primary goal to help the other person feel like the most interesting version of themselves. Don't focus on what you can get from the interaction, but on what you can give through your presence. Watch how this transforms not only the quality of your connections, but also how people begin to actively seek you out. When people associate their best self with you, it creates a bond that goes far beyond superficial attraction. It becomes a genuine need for your presence, because with you, they feel more alive, more authentic, more complete. This is seduction in its purest and most powerful form. Integrate this affirmation into your identity. I am a safe space where others can shine, and that makes me irresistible. When this becomes your natural way of being, your attractiveness multiplies exponentially because you offer something very few people can give: the experience of being truly seen and accepted. What happens when you completely master these 5 levels of personal space is that your life transforms in ways you never imagined possible. You're no longer someone who chases connections or fights for attention. You become a human magnet that naturally attracts the most interesting people into your orbit. Neil Strauss used to say that true seduction isn't about getting something from someone else, but about becoming someone so fascinating that others naturally want to be part of your world. When you've developed complete mastery of personal space, this becomes your daily reality. People begin to behave differently with you. You notice that at social gatherings, others naturally gravitate toward where you are. Conversations with you become deeper and more intimate without you having to force anything. You receive invitations to exclusive events because your mere presence improves any situation. Others seek you out when they need advice or simply want to feel better about themselves. But here's the most powerful part of all. This transformation doesn't just affect how others perceive you, but how you perceive yourself. When you constantly experience the effect your presence has on others, you develop authentic confidence that's impossible to fake. You no longer need external validation because you have constant evidence of your own worth. Your body language becomes naturally more expansive and confident. You walk like someone who knows exactly who they are and where they're going. You occupy space as if you have a natural right to be there. Your eye contact is direct but warm. Your smile is genuine because you truly enjoy human interactions instead of fearing them. This creates a positive reinforcement cycle. The more authentic confidence you radiate, the more positively people respond to you. The more positively they respond, the more your conviction that you're genuinely attractive and interesting is strengthened. It's like an upward spiral with no limit. But the deepest transformation happens in your romantic life. When you've mastered personal space, the dynamic of all your relationships changes fundamentally. You no longer chase or beg for attention. Instead, you create experiences so memorable that others naturally want more time with you. People who used to ignore you begin seeking you out. Those you thought were out of your league suddenly show genuine interest. The most beautiful thing is that this change is completely authentic. You're not acting or pretending to be someone you're not. You've simply developed aspects of your personality that were always there, but you'd never learned to express effectively. You've unlocked your natural seduction potential. Do you realize what this means for your future? Imagine entering any social situation with absolute certainty that you can genuinely connect with any person who interests you. Visualize having high-quality romantic options because your presence alone is enough to generate attraction. Think about the freedom of never again having to settle for relationships that don't completely satisfy you. This isn't fantasy. It's the natural result of consistently applying the principles we've explored today. Thousands of people have transformed their social and romantic lives by mastering these concepts. The only difference between them and you is that they made the decision to implement what they learned. So here's your moment of decision. You can allow this information to remain as theoretical knowledge you'll soon forget, or you can make the conscious decision to integrate these principles into your identity and daily behavior. The difference between these two options will determine whether your life stays the same or transforms completely. If you're truly committed to this transformation, I want you to do something specific right now. In the comments of this video, write exactly these words: I choose to become a master of personal space and create magnetic connections naturally. It's not just an empty statement. It's a public commitment to yourself that will program your subconscious mind to seek opportunities to implement what you've learned. When you write those words and post them, you're telling the universe and yourself that you're no longer the person you were before watching this video. You're someone who's in active process of transformation, someone who doesn't settle for mediocre results in their interpersonal relationships. But your education in authentic seduction doesn't end here. If this video has resonated with you and you feel you're ready for the next level, make sure to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. I constantly publish content that dives deep into specific aspects of attraction psychology that can exponentially accelerate your progress. I also invite you to share this video with someone you know could benefit from this information. Authentic seduction isn't about taking advantage of others, but about creating deeper and more satisfying connections for all people involved. When you share knowledge that can improve human relationships, you're contributing to a world where connections are more genuine and meaningful. Remember that real transformation happens in implementation, not in consuming information. You can watch hundreds of videos about seduction, but if you don't actively practice the principles you learn, your situation will never change. The difference between people who achieve extraordinary results and those who remain stuck is consistent action. Every day that passes without you consciously practicing mastery of your personal space is a day you move away from the most attractive and magnetic version of yourself. Every social interaction opportunity you waste by not applying these principles is a potentially transformative connection you'll never experience. But every time you choose to implement what you've learned, every time you consciously practice these concepts, you get closer to the version of yourself that's naturally irresistible. It's a decision you make moment by moment, interaction by interaction. Your romantic and social future is completely in your hands. The principles are in front of you. The techniques have been explained. The exercises have been detailed. The only thing left is your decision to act or remain the same. So I leave you with this final question. Who do you choose to be? The person who learns but doesn't implement, who dreams but doesn't act, or the person who takes total control of their attractiveness and creates the romantic life they truly desire? The answer to that question will determine everything that happens in your life from this moment forward. Choose wisely, because your future self is watching the decision you make today.